Hey everyone, I am just stopping in before the video starts to say hello. I am very sick while I am playing this game, which is why it's post-com, but I'm still a bit sick, still now 2 weeks out, so my voice sounds a bit different, and I might sound a little icky throughout the video. I try to cut out like all the coughing stuff and things of that nature, so you won't have to hear any of that. But just forewarning, if you think I sound different or my commentary is a little off, it's just I'm super out of it. So I tried to make this video still as best as I could for you all, and I hope you'll enjoy. It's a very hilarious battle, so that's where we're at. Okay, enjoy the video. What is going on, Shockwave fans? We are back at you with another post commentary where we are taking on DrSlaking, aka Matt, a incredibly important friend to me, one of my favorite people in the world, and also my biological father. That's actually factual, so go show him some love. He said that he's probably not continuing draft for the foreseeable future after the season ends, not because of anything other than the fact that he is going for his freaking doctorate. So head over there, wish him luck, and send him some love, because without going into too much details, I would not be where I am today if it were not for Matt's support in life. So yeah, he is a very close IRL friend of mine, and I just owe so much to him. So go give him some love if you all can. But also at the same time, we got a match to win, so no holds bars. We are fucking getting in here, trying to extend our win streak a little bit with a really strong win against Fepsis. We want to make sure that we are going up into this last game against Mount with a pretty comfortable record, so we can ensure that we secure a round 1 bye for playoffs. Winning this would pretty much guarantee that, so that's our goal here. Unfortunately, I had a bit of a feud with the admin team this week, and it had to do with, just some random talks about Season 3 and which mons should be banned and unbanned, and ultimately, I was just basically saying, hey, Zamazenta Ground is, it's really broken. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, I've been using it. It's pretty strong, and honestly, I'm quite bad at using it, and it's still outperforming Greninja and Deoxys speed up to this point, which makes me really sad, because I want Deoxys speed to be MVP. I don't want Zamazenta to be MVP. Think about how lame that would be. So J-Ricky basically dared me to replace my Zamazenta on this build with ROTOM-FAN, and that I just did. So you'll be seeing that in due time. So I literally just slapped Zamazenta off the build, threw on ROTOM-FAN, and we're going into DrSlaking without a giant shield dog, and instead with a literal fan, which I'm quite excited about. So let's get into the game. I'm very excited about this. Alright, yeah, so like I mentioned, we're really looking to get a win here, but also at the same time, like, I'm not absurdly concerned about taking it too seriously. I definitely did not prep nearly as hard for this game as I have for other games this season. And kind of decided to bring some fun stuff, because like, it's just about time. I feel like I've had a little bit too serious of builds. So I mean, we're not memeing here, but you'll see stuff in a second. So yeah, look at that. We are rocking out with 2 life orbs, a custard berry, and a nice little beak. So ROTOM-FAN with a beak. That is what the team is centered around here. But you will also, you see the items, you see what we're doing. So yeah, for Deoxys, we've slapped a life orb on it with 4 attacks. I have basically Psycho Boost and E-Speed, and I think we have Stomping Tantrum, and then we have one other button. I think we have Knockoff on this as well. So those buttons, which you'll notice does not hit Darkrai for anything. I sort of like looked at this matchup and I was like, oh, between Zamazenta and Tinkaton, like, Darkrai might not come at all, and if it comes, like, I don't know, I'm sure I'll chip it down at something else. So I actually don't have a great way to hit Darkrai with this Deoxys. Plus, I was also thinking, like, Deoxys or Darkrai might just run like Sucker Punch anyway. So I'm basically taking off superpower on this set and replacing it with E-speed as a means of outspeeding Lucario's E-speed if it Terra normals, which I think can be quite handy. Then we have Stomping Tantrum like we did last week. We wanted to catch Alolan Muck by hitting Psycho Boost into a Stomping Tantrum, and Vepsis didn't even bring the Alolan Muck. We tried to do it again this week with Matt, that we would click Psycho Boost and then have a 150 base power Stomping Tantrum against the Overquill, and he didn't bring Overquill, so we're over 2, which fucking sucks, but it is what it is. Next up, we have Greninja. It's just basically Battle Bond. I think it looks really, really good. I think his best ways of dealing with Battle Bond are E-speed on Lucario, so we're running Upper Hand this week to try and catch the Lucario if we get a Battle Bond boost. Upper Hand should be doing like 90% to it, so if we manage to get like a Spike Up or something, Upper Hand will be nuking the Lucario. Now keep in mind, it doesn't flinch Lucario because of Inner Focus, so that's something also you gotta think about. But still, just being able to outpace the E-speed with a super effective Upper Hand hit is gonna be quite nice. Otherwise, Dark Poison Ice hits the entire team. It's special, so looks pretty good. Yeah, next we have Swampert. That's meant to switch into the Skeledirge pretty early game if it ends up coming out like that. And we're Spadef, so we should be able to take like Will-O-Wisps and Hexes and stuff like that. We'll be able to take Tornadus hits, assuming it's not Grass Knot. I think we live 1 Grass Knot though, and that puts us in Custap Berry, which is always nice. But Rocks plus Flip Turn is the name of the game, and we're just going to try to get some Rocks up, have some chip over time, and then Flip Turn out. That's the idea. So if we get into Custap, that's really nice. And then we have Tinkaton. Tinkaton is Mold Breaker with Sword Stance. If we get to +2 knockoff through Unaware, because we're Mold Breaker, it does like 60% to Skeledirge, so that's really nice. The weird thing about this is it was like meant to open up like Zamazenta, because like Skeledirge is like one of the best Zamazenta counters there is. So my mentality was like, oh well, this like Mold Breaker SD Tinkaton will break the Skeledirge for Zamazenta to win in the late game, but then I randomly took Zamazenta off for this fucking BEAK, so it's fine. Yeah, so it doesn't make a ton of sense on this team anymore, but it still is what it is. And then we're running Endure for the surprise Custap. The other 2 Custap users don't actually have Endure. We're just gonna kind of hope that they fall into Custap range, but for Tinkaton in particular, if I'm able to 1v1 something and then he tries to revenge me with, say, like Heat Wave Tornadus or Scarf Lucario, which he brought last week against Ellie, then I can click Endure and get one last big hit off while I'm +2, which is quite nice. And then Quillfish, that's there for our Azu insurance. Clearly he did not bring Azumarill, which means that it frees up it a little bit to deal with the Lucario. But otherwise we're just max physically defensive, and we can click Destiny Bond as well if we're concerned about, setup sweeper Lucario from sweeping us, because we do live 1 +2 E-speed after a round of rocks, so we are set for that. And then we have the ROTOM-FAN with a beak, and it's just, it has a beak, and that's what it does. So let's get into the game. Alright, so we're in with the game against Matt, my biological father, one of my closest friends ever. I'm very excited about it. We're leading off the ROTOM-FAN because we can kind of just spam T-Wave, and I'm clicking that right away against this Jirachi. If it's lead Meteor Beam, then fuck me, I guess, but I have a feeling it's going to be rocks or screens like we see here, and I'm just about right. We see the light screen, which is kind of interesting and kind of, like, not good, because I don't really have anything I want to switch into this Jirachi. Like, I don't want to go into my Gren or my Deoxys, and I don't think Pert necessarily gets me too much progress, so I unironically think my optimal play here, and maybe Pert's better, but I'm just like scared of like an Energy Ball or something. I unironically think my play here is just to go for a Paraflinch. Like, you see me considering the Swampert play, but I think it just makes more sense to click Air Slash here, and if the whatever chance, maybe around 50% chance of a Paraflinch happens, it stalls a turn of Light Screen, and that's good. Like, honestly, whatever he wants to like try and set up with here immediately, I would rather have ROTOM-FAN in to like T-Wave it than any of my other guys. So in my brain, I'm just like gonna click Air Slash, because I don't think this Jirachi is gonna do anything to me. And if he tries to set up with Lucario or even Darkrai behind these screens, I would rather have ROTOM-FAN in to T-Wave it than say something like, I don't know, Swampert. So maybe in hindsight, Roar on Swampert would have been really nice for this purpose, but I don't think this Jirachi having like Energy Ball is necessarily out of the question. So I'm just gonna keep clicking Air Slash and hoping to Paraflinch, but it doesn't happen. And now, since we see the Encore, that's when things get a little bit tricky, because now I don't want to be Encored into, you know, Lucario setting up or Darkrai setting up. So it kind of forces my hand here, like, to go into the Swampert. Just have to do it. Which, you know, kind of sucks, like, because I could have done this 2 turns earlier, maybe gotten Rocks up, maybe knocked this thing off or something, but in the moment, I felt like the optimal play was definitely just click Air Slash, because again, if I get lucky there, and I think the odds are in my favor to do it, then, you know, it is what it is. But I'm still scared, like, I'm still scared of going Swampert, so I just click Air Slash again, and I figure, you know what, damage is damage, and I'll respond to whatever comes in. And, you know, if he was going for, say, like a slow U-turn, I could stop the slow U-turn as well. So I go for Air Slash, and then I decide to respond by going into Tinkaton. Hindsight, I think just going Swampert there and just saying, you're not Energy Ball is probably the right way to do it. But I just wanted to keep it around for Skeledirge. So I just go into the Tinkaton. And Matt has a very, very cool Darkrai set here, something I did not consider in prep whatsoever, and that is Will-O-Wisp, which is not only going to neutralize my Tinkaton and stop my Custat Berry, but it also makes me really start to consider Hex coming off here, which has a chance to KO me, surprisingly enough. So I'm running these Calcs, and I'm like, well, okay, I might die to Hex, and since I don't have like Protect or anything, I can't go for any other move. Like, I can't go for Gigaton Hammer twice in a row. Best I could do is click Knock Off here, and that's not great because my Deoxys, like I said in the team builder, does not have superpower. So I think I'm literally saying at this point, while I'm, you know, coughing up a lung because I was quite sick while I play this, hence why we're doing a post commentary, that I might just lose. Like, honestly, like, obviously I don't lose 6-0 to this thing, but like, I think I'm gonna have to lose at least, you know, 2 or 3 mons to beat this. So I just go for knockoff because that's the only play I can make, and he reveals me Blunder Policy, which is fucking wild. And had that missed, I might have been in a bad position. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. But honestly, I think my play regardless was to go into Swampert and just chew the hit and get as much damage off as I possibly could. So basically what I have to do is I have to get it in range of Deoxys's E-Speed, which means getting it to about 30%, which is going to be quite tough with these screens up. So I'm risking a lot of damage here is essentially what's happening. And one thing that I should have paid closer attention to is that this Darkrai reveal had so much special attack that actually my Greninja outsped it. Which would have been really nice to bear in mind. Obviously, I had nothing that could kill the Greninja from this range, or kill the Darkrai from this range, rather, from Greninja. But it's going to come into play later in a couple turns, which you know, you'll notice in a bit. So Darkrai comes off with a Dark Pulse, and since I'm spit up, I take the hit quite well, but I have no investment on anything, so that does nothing. And at this point, I'm just praying that like Reflect will end, and when Reflect ends, I can go into Deoxys and click E-Speed, and that's basically what it is. Reflect will end next turn, so I just sack the Swampert and go from there. Unfortunately, he has just barely taken me outside of Custap range, so nothing is going to pop here, unfortunately, which kind of sucks. So it is what it is. But we are here anyway, just going to click Earth Power and just sack our Swampert, and Matt decides to do something very interesting, which is switch out, which at the time confused me greatly, but in hindsight makes a lot of sense, because since he knew that my Greninja outsped him, he, you know, didn't want to enable giving me a Battle Bond boost, which makes some sense in hindsight. I still think for him, it's potentially true that the optimal play was to stay and just claim the KO. But I think in the moment, a play like that makes quite a bit of sense. So I think he was trying to catch me on like a flip turn or something like that, going to Rachi to sack it, and that allows me to get up my Stealth Rocks. And all of a sudden, because of this play that he made, I am back in this match somehow. So yeah, I'm realizing it throughout this game that this team maybe isn't as great as I thought. Maybe the more intense team building that I've done in the past few weeks had a reason. Anyway, Swagger is not banned in this league, so we see Swagger come off here, and the reason why Swagger Tornadoes is so cool, and I gave Matt this at the start of the season, so I was definitely like fist pumping when he went for this, is that Mirror Herb Acrobatics with Swagger is the thing on Tornadoes, and you know, if I didn't bring ROTOM-FAN, low-key this thing might have gone crazy, but he brought fucking Smackdown, and I'm praying that I don't hit myself, and I don't. That's really nice, and I'm clicking Volt Switch, so a lot of RNG here. If I hit myself, I would have been in a bad spot, but also, you know, I could have paraflinched the Jirachi a couple times. Like, the odds were in my favor to get at least one of those, and I got none of them. And then, yeah, I don't know. So I go into the Noodler, and we're just going to click Psycho Boost. I'm thinking about, like, is Knockoff going to KO, but this thing doesn't have an item. Is E-Speed going to KO? I'm not sure. Let me just click the Psycho Boost. If I miss, whatever. This game has been so goofy already. But we're just landing all the inaccurate moves out here. You know, he landed Will-O-Wisp and Focus Blast, so surely Deoxys can land a Psycho Boost. And knock on wood, I mean, I literally will. Like, Deoxys has not missed a Psycho Boost all season, and it better fucking not. But it might happen in finals or something. Oh god, I'm saying it. I'm saying it, and it's totally gonna happen. Oh no, it's horrible. I hope not, though. We'll see. But it's been doing quite well so far, so good for it. We see Hydropple come in here, and I don't have Ice Beam, I don't have anything like that, so it makes sense. I'm thinking about sacking my Swampert, but ultimately I think that if it goes for a Grass move, which I don't think is out of the question, my ROTOM-FAN is a nice switch into it, and he actually goes for a Curse, which is interesting. It actually is like really good for me because it means that I can Pain Split on this, and in his mind he might be able to KO me with a Sucker Punch, which I just assume he has if he's Curse versus a Deoxys Speed, but I will be able to circumvent that with a Pain Split. So Pain Split here, it makes a ton of sense, and it'll cause a Sucker Punch to fail, and because Hydropple is such a high HP stat, ROTOM-FAN with a Beak is back, baby. So we are going to you know, fire off a Beak boosted Air Slash and try and get as much damage on this as possible, but unfortunately this Hydropple is max Spadaf. That's so much damage though still for max Spadaf. I didn't even like have much attack investment on this Rotom, so ends up working out, and you can hear some sirens in the background. That's really fun. Wee-oo. But yeah, I don't know. Here we are. Air Slash, yes. Okay. So Sucker Punch does literally nothing at all. And we're just going to KO with the Air Slash, and that'll be nice. Yay, amazing. So we are in a pretty good spot after all of this ridiculous stuff has happened. Not like RNG for or against me, but just it's been a wild game. He's brought some wild sets. I have woefully underprepared for a Darkrai because I benched my Zamazenta. Classic. Addy, well done. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like, we are having just a good time. I'm laughing because of the Swagger Tornadoes and this freaking Hydropple, and I'm hoping he's having a good time too. So he's gonna go into the Jirachi, and basically we are going to attempt to Air Slash flinch this or Volt Switch. Those are our two options. I'm kind of thinking I just want to Volt Switch. Like, if I Volt Switch here, it's gonna let me get in Swampert, which then I can click Earth Power and just KO this. Maybe in hindsight, going for Air Slash flinches again made sense, but I figure if I go for Volt Switch, I'm at least preventing one screen from going up. Even though I'm actually not if I go into Swampert, because I freaking don't outspeed this because I'm negative speed nature. So bit of a bad line of thought there, but you know, it is what it is. We're gonna go into Mud Puddle, and we actually finally get quite lucky here, making up for those lack of full pairs in the early game and get some full pairs here. And as I realize that this Jirachi still outspeeds me and will probably get a screen up anyway, we get lucky again, because this Jirachi is unable to move. And that's great. So cool. Now we have an interesting situation. There's no screens up, which is quite nice. He probably goes into Lucario here and tries to pick me off, or Darkrai, one of the two, I suppose. But it is Lucario, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, I don't think this is Terra fighting. I think at this point, based on the screens, based on everything, this is probably some Swords Dance Terra normal set, and he just goes for Swords Dance, doesn't Terra, And I go for Earth Power, and it crits. So great. Well done, Swampert. Maybe a little too well done. What happened is Lucario, basically, he didn't click the Terra button by accident. And then I crit anyway. I don't think I would have killed, but he definitely would have been in range of like other stuff. He had Trailblaze, which would have been also bad. So I'll talk about that turn in a bit. But this thing has Solar Beam, and it's just going to blow us back. So it turns out this was never beating Skeleturge anyway, and this game has just become a total game of bizarreness. But it's all right. It's good. We're having a good time. At this point, I'm pretty confident Deoxys just cleans. So my goal from here is to click Air Slash to get it in range of a Stomping Tantrum. And then Deoxys can pick off the last 2 mons, which you're going to see happen right here. So ultimately a very messy game, a very memey game. Matt definitely brought out some of the fun stuff, which is great. And yeah, I had a good time. Even though I was like, again, sick and coughing up a lung. It was the best amount of fun I could have. When I see Flame Charge, I get really scared because I'm like, oh shit, does Deoxys add speed? And it still does, obviously, because it's a fucking slow-ass crocodile. So we're just going to go into Deoxys here and clean up. But talking about the crit turn against Lucario, had he Terra'd and had he not crit, had Swampert not crit, rather, I think I still had outs. His moveset was Trailblaze with, like, you know, E-Speed and Close Combat. I think my first line of defense would have been to go into Greninja and click Upper Hand to try and basically catch the D-Speed, because I think he would still fear Water Shuriken and go for E-Speed anyways if he had it. But alternatively, I also had a full health Quillfish with Destiny Bond and Gunk Shot, which would have KO'd if I landed. So I could have still beaten the Lucario had all that not happened, but I obviously would have liked to see that part of the game play out. But this game was such a bizarre, random mess anyway that it was fine. So good game to Matt. We end up winning 3-0. Or, yeah, 3-0? 3-0. And it puts our differential at 11 heading into the game against Mathew, where we're going to try and beat our rival, who we've never been able to beat before. But for this game in particular, I'm definitely holding ROTOM-FAN as the MVP. It not only enabled us to get those crucial full paras against Jirachi, it 1v1 to the Hydrapple, and it simultaneously got Skeleturge in range for a late game Deoxys speed cleanup. So I'm quite satisfied. Are you? I don't know. But this was a game of all time, and I hope you all enjoyed it. So, yeah, see you all next week against Mathew. We'll be back to live commentary, and we've actually already played it, and it's a great game, so don't miss it. All right, see you all then.